If you've ever found yourself held captive by fear, hesitant to take that bold step, or plagued by worries about the unknown, then you're in the right place. Today, we're diving deep into a topic that resonates with each of us: how to overcome fear. But here's the twist: we're approaching it through the lens of Stoicism, a timeless philosophy that has guided individuals through challenges for centuries. I'm thrilled to have you here with us on Stoic Today, a channel dedicated to unraveling the age-old wisdom of Stoicism and weaving it into the fabric of our contemporary lives. In this episode, we're delving into a quintessential human emotion, fear, and uncovering the Stoic secrets to not just manage it but to rise above it. The Stoic perspective on fear is not just some abstract concept confined to dusty scrolls. It's an incredibly relevant framework that empowers us to confront the challenges of our fast-paced, uncertain world head-on. Think about it: from the ancient battlefield to the modern boardroom, fear has always been a formidable adversary. And that's where Stoicism steps in, offering practical insights and actionable strategies that embolden us to face fear with resilience and grace. Whether you're dealing with the fear of failure, the fear of the unknown, or even the fear of missing out, Stoicism provides a compass to navigate these turbulent waters. So, if you're ready to liberate yourself from fear's grip and embrace life's challenges with newfound courage, you're in for a treat. We'll explore the dichotomy of control, delve into the Stoic practice of visualizing worst-case scenarios, unveil the power of exposure therapy, and discover the art of mindfulness and acceptance. And through it all, we'll strive to cultivate that quintessential Stoic virtue, courage. Are you intrigued? Excited? Eager to embrace the Stoic way of life? Well, you're in the right place. Smash that like button, hit subscribe if you haven't already, and let's embark on this transformative journey together. But for now, let's dive into the heart of the matter: how to overcome fear, the Stoic way. 1. Understanding fear from a Stoic perspective. Fear, an irrational emotion rooted in false judgments. At the heart of Stoicism's approach to fear lies a profound insight. Fear is often an irrational emotion, born from false judgments about the world around us. The Stoics believe that our minds are susceptible to misinterpreting events, leading us to react with fear even when there's no real threat. It's like mistaking a harmless shadow for a lurking predator. This understanding immediately sets us on a path to overcoming fear, by examining and challenging these judgments. The rational versus the irrational. Stoicism draws a clear line between rational and irrational fears. Rational fears are those that are grounded in reality and pose genuine threats to our well-being. For instance, fearing physical harm in a dangerous situation is a rational fear that can trigger a fight or flight response. However, irrational fears, such as anxieties about events beyond our control or catastrophizing about the future, often cripple us without reason. Words of wisdom from Stoic sages. Let's hear from the Stoic philosophers themselves: Seneca, Epictetus, and Marcus Aurelius, who left behind timeless teachings on fear. Seneca, the wise sage, remarked, "We suffer more often in imagination than in reality." Epictetus, the former slave-turned-philosopher, noted, "It's not things that upset us, but our judgment about things." Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor and Stoic philosopher, shared his wisdom: "If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it." These words remind us that our fears often originate in our minds, fueled by our interpretations of events rather than the events themselves. Stoicism encourages us to become vigilant observers of our thoughts, to sift through them for rationality, and to discard the irrational notions that give rise to unnecessary fear. As we move forward on our journey to conquer fear, remember that the Stoic foundation of understanding fear's origins is the first step toward liberation. By recognizing the distinction between rational and irrational fears, we can start dismantling the walls that fear has built around us. So, let's continue exploring the Stoic arsenal of techniques that will enable us to transcend fear's grip and embrace life's challenges with a fearless heart. 2. The dichotomy of control. Empowering ourselves with the dichotomy of control. Now that we've laid the groundwork for understanding fear, let's unveil a powerful Stoic principle that can revolutionize the way we perceive and react to it: the dichotomy of control. This concept serves as a roadmap for navigating the complex landscape of life's challenges by categorizing everything into two distinct realms: things within our control and things beyond our control. The unraveling source of fear. Fear often gains its grip when we find ourselves fretting over circumstances that are outside our sphere of influence. The Stoics recognized this tendency and proposed a radical shift in perspective. They urged us to channel our energy toward what we can control and relinquish unnecessary concern for what lies beyond our grasp. In doing so, we liberate ourselves from the clutches of anxiety, allowing room for courage and tranquility to thrive. Transmuting fear into empowerment. Imagine the relief that comes from realizing that while we cannot control external events or others' actions, we hold dominion over our own thoughts, attitudes, and responses. By focusing on our inner realm, we can reshape our reactions to external circumstances. This shift of focus offers a fresh lens through which we can view challenges, free from the paralyzing grip of fear. As Epictetus wisely put it, the chief task in life is simply this: to identify and separate matters so that I can say clearly to myself which are externals not under my control, and which have to do with the choices I actually control. This separation of what's within our sphere of control and what lies beyond it allows us to recalibrate our responses, transform fear into courage, and stand unshaken in the face of uncertainty. The dichotomy of control becomes our tool, our shield against the chaos of the world, enabling us to confront fear with a newfound understanding. Join us as we delve deeper into the Stoic toolkit, uncovering practices that align with this principle, and discover the art of transmuting fear into empowerment. Our journey to overcome fear continues, guided by the wisdom of Stoicism. 3. Visualizing worst-case scenarios. Embracing the unthinkable, premeditatio malorum. Our expedition through Stoicism's arsenal of fear-conquering techniques brings us to an intriguing practice known as premeditatio malorum, or the premeditation of evils. In essence, this practice invites us to stare directly into the eyes of our fears by vividly imagining the worst-case scenarios that might arise from a situation. Now, this might sound counterintuitive. Why would we willingly subject ourselves to such distressing thoughts? The paradox of fear's power. Stoicism recognized a fascinating paradox. By inviting our fears to take center stage in our minds, we effectively rob them of their potency. Our minds have a remarkable way of inflating fears, often beyond their actual magnitude. By consciously contemplating these fears and dissecting them in detail, we strip them of their exaggerated power and bring them back to reality. Consider a job interview, a scenario that can trigger anxiety and fear of failure. Engaging in premeditatio malorum doesn't mean succumbing to a pit of despair. Instead, it's about acknowledging the worst that could happen, stumbling over words, not answering a question well, or not getting the job. However, this practice doesn't stop there. After recognizing these potential outcomes, we also recognize our capacity to handle them, to learn, to improve, and to move forward. In relationships, premeditation of evils might involve facing the fear of rejection or a breakup. By mentally walking through these possibilities, we gradually build the resilience needed to confront these scenarios should they arise. Through this process, we discover that the worst outcomes are often manageable and survivable. Remember, The Stoics didn't advocate for dwelling solely on negative possibilities. Instead, this practice is about building emotional fortitude by confronting our fears head-on, ultimately leading to a more tempered and courageous mindset. As we journey onward, remember that premeditatio malorum is a Stoic tool that empowers us to face our fears without flinching. It's about shining a light on the shadows that haunt our minds, dispelling their illusions, and equipping ourselves with the strength to navigate life's challenges. Join us as we continue our exploration of Stoic practices that transform fear into stepping stones of growth and wisdom. 4. Developing resilience through exposure. Facing fear head-on, the Stoic approach to exposure. In our quest to unearth Stoic strategies that liberate us from fear's grasp, we find ourselves at a technique that might sound like a trial by fire, exposure therapy. The Stoics were advocates of deliberately immersing oneself in the very situations that trigger fear, gradually and purposefully. While it might seem daunting, this practice aligns perfectly with the Stoic ethos of cultivating resilience and virtue through challenge. Desensitizing fear, building resilience. Imagine fear as a powerful wave crashing against the shores of your mind. The Stoic approach to exposure acts as a breaker wall, softening the impact with each successive wave. By subjecting ourselves to fearful situations in controlled increments, we gradually become desensitized to the emotional turmoil that accompanies them. Over time, fear loses its grip, and our emotional reactions become more measured and composed. Putting exposure into practice. Let's say you're afraid of public speaking, a fear that's incredibly common. Start small, perhaps by sharing your thoughts in a small group setting. Gradually, increase the size of your audience as you gain confidence. By exposing yourself to these situations, you teach your mind that there's no real threat and that the intense fear you once felt is not proportional to the situation. Applying exposure therapy isn't about throwing yourself into the deep end without a lifeline. It's about taking calculated risks, acknowledging your discomfort, and celebrating each step forward. And remember, the goal isn't to eliminate fear entirely, it's about transforming your relationship with fear, embracing it as a teacher rather than a tormentor. So, as we journey together through the Stoic principles that fortify us against fear, consider how the Stoic practice of exposure therapy can reshape your approach to challenges. This practice, grounded in ancient wisdom, is a tool for modern times, a compass that guides us toward the uncharted territories of our fears and helps us emerge not as victims, but as victors. Stay with us as we move forward, uncovering more pearls of Stoic insight that will empower you to rewrite the narrative of your life. 5. Practicing mindfulness and acceptance. Mindfulness, the gateway to mastery over fear. As we navigate our expedition into the realm of Stoic wisdom, we encounter a practice that serves as both a foundation and an anchor for fear management, mindfulness. Being present in the moment and fully aware of our thoughts and emotions grants us the power to observe fear without being consumed by it. This practice isn't just about acknowledging fear, it's about recognizing that we are not defined by it. Embracing life's tapestry with amor fati. At the core of Stoic mindfulness lies the concept of amor fati, the love of fate. This principle beckons us to embrace every aspect of our lives, the triumphs and tribulations, the highs and lows, with open arms. Imagine the liberation that comes from accepting everything that comes our way, even the challenges and uncertainties that often fuel fear. By practicing amor fati, we transform fear into a stepping stone for growth. Instead of resisting or resenting challenging circumstances, we greet them as opportunities to cultivate our virtues, shape our character, and forge our resilience. Cultivating mindfulness and acceptance. Practicing mindfulness begins with carving out moments for introspection and meditation. In these moments, gently observe your thoughts without judgment. When fear arises, don't suppress it, acknowledge its presence. Ask yourself why you feel fear, and whether that fear is grounded in reality or distorted by false judgments. To cultivate a more fatty, start by reflecting on past challenges that eventually led to growth. Remember moments when you emerged stronger and wiser from adversity. Shift your perspective from the struggle to the lesson it brings. You might even keep a gratitude journal, capturing moments of growth that arose from facing your fears. As we conclude this segment, let's integrate mindfulness and acceptance into our journey. By staying mindful and embracing life's tapestry, we don the armor of Stoicism, empowering us to face fear with a serene heart and unwavering spirit. Our voyage through Stoic insights continues, charting a course toward a life unburdened by fear's shackles. 6. Taking action with courage. Unleashing the inner warrior, the Stoic virtue of courage. As we approach the finale of our journey through Stoic principles to conquer fear, we arrive at a virtue that stands as a beacon of light in the face of darkness: courage. The Stoics celebrated courage as a cornerstone of virtuous living, a virtue that isn't the absence of fear, but rather the triumph over it. Courage is about acknowledging fear's presence and choosing to act despite it, armed with the knowledge that growth lies beyond its boundaries. Stories of courage from the pages of history. Throughout history, countless individuals have exemplified the Stoic virtue of courage. Take the ancient philosopher Socrates, who chose to drink hemlock rather than renounce his beliefs. Or consider Harriet Tubman, who risked her life to guide slaves to freedom through the Underground Railroad. These figures weren't devoid of fear, they felt its weight just like any of us. But they chose to take action guided by their principles, their virtues, and their unwavering courage. Cultivating the seed of courage. Courage isn't reserved for epic deeds on grand stages. It thrives in the daily decisions we make, from speaking up against injustice to pursuing personal growth despite uncertainty. Cultivating courage begins with embracing discomfort, acknowledging fear, and then taking a step forward. Remember that every small act of courage is a brushstroke on the canvas of a courageous life. In our modern lives, courage might manifest as pushing your boundaries, seeking out new experiences, or confronting your insecurities. Embrace the discomfort, knowing that on the other side lies growth, resilience, and an expanded sense of self. So, my fellow seekers of strength, let's conclude our exploration of Stoic principles with a call to action. As you step away from this video, remember that courage is a muscle that strengthens with use. Embrace fear as a guide, a catalyst for change, and a path to your own transformation. I encourage you to take that step, no matter how small it may seem, toward the life you aspire to lead. Seize the opportunities before you, and let the spirit of Stoicism embolden you as you navigate your path with courage. As we draw the curtains on this transformative exploration, I implore you, dear viewers, to weave the threads of Stoic wisdom into the fabric of your lives. Let Stoicism be your guiding star in the night sky of fear, illuminating a path that leads from apprehension to empowerment. Remember that every moment of fear is an opportunity for growth, and every challenge is a chance to cultivate your virtues. If you found these Stoic insights valuable on your journey to conquer fear, don't hesitate to hit that like button and share your thoughts in the comments below. Subscribe to our channel, Stoic Today, and join this community of seekers who understand that the pursuit of a courageous life is a journey worth embracing.